자, 안녕하세요 여러분. 잘 들리시죠? 자, 실적 보도록 하겠습니다. 오, 매출이 1140만 달러가 나왔네요. 그래서 지금 예상치가 매출이 잘 나온 것 같죠? 지금 주가가 애프터장에서 7% 이상 오르고 있습니다. 잘 나올 것 같다고 생각은 했는데 제가 설레발을 치기가 좀 지금 시기가 너무 안 좋아가지고 제가 좀 말을 아꼈는데 잠시만요. 이게 2분기 예상치가 원래 866이 예상이었는데 지금 예상치를 훨씬 상회했고요. 부킹스 수주 금액이 9밀리언. 이게 이제 제가 엊그저께 전달드린 ARLIS 포함한 거 거기에 지금 두 개의 큐비트로 이루어진 게이트 충실도 99.9까지 달성을 했네요. 그리고 어젯밤에 나온 소식, 일부 오류 수정하는 신기술을 64AQ부터 넣겠다고 했죠. 요거는 뭐 예상됐던 얘기였고, 올해 매출 가이던스를 올렸네요. 아, 역시 아이온큐 잘합니다. 48에서 42로 연매출 기대치를 올린다고 하면 상향 시켰습니다. 지금 실적이 굉장히 잘 나온 것으로 보이고요. 네, 장외 애프터마켓에서 한 10% 정도 상승을 하고 있습니다. 다행입니다. 오늘은 그래도 좀 잘 나왔네요. 그동안 실적 발표 때마다 되게 저희를 힘들게 했었는데 다행입니다. 네, 한 고비 넘겼네요. 자, 그러면 지난 1분기 때 예상치가 얼마였는지 한번 체크를 해봐야죠, 또. 자, 제가 이렇게 검색을 해서 제 것도 제가 다시 찾아서 공부를 합니다. 자, 2분기 예상 매출이 7.6에서 9.2였죠. 근데 실제로는 훨씬 상회했습니다. 굉장히 잘 나왔죠, 매출이. 그리고 올해 원래 예상 매출이 37에서 41이었는데 38에서 42로 올렸다는 거죠. 굉장히 좋습니다. 예상 부킹스는 일단 4분기에 70에서 90으로 받고 1분기에 75에서 90으로 받고 2분기는 아직 따로 얘기는 없네요. 네, 그래서 내용을 좀 보면은 자, 이런 거는 챗GPT로 번역을 시키는 게 제일 확실합니다. 전 챗GPT 지금 유료로 쓰고 있거든요. 여러분들도 쓰시면 굉장히 좋습니다. 넣고 번역해줘라고 하면은 알아서 잘 번역해주거든요. 자, 필요제품 CU는 매우 큰 성과를 거둔 분기였다. 매출이 가이던스를 훨씬 초과했고 기술적인 혁신도 있었다. 특히 얼마 전에 웨비나에서 가속화된 로드맵을 출시를 했죠. 그리고 바륨 큐빗을 지금 이테리움을 쓰고 있는데 바륨으로 바꿔서 두 개의 큐비트로 이루어진 게이트 충실도를 이게 한 제가 기억으로는 99.4 정도였을 거예요. 이거를 99.9로 올렸는데 이게 의미가 큽니다. 이제 양자 컴퓨팅 분야에 있어서 이 3 9s라고 하는데 99.9에 도달을 해야 오류 수정을 넣어도 쓸모가 있다 이런 얘기가 있거든요. 그래서 이게 굉장히 중요하고, 또 부분 오류 수정 기술을 템포 64EQ보다 넣겠다. 그래서 여러 가지 좋은 소식들이 있었고, 또 ARLIS라는 지능 및 보안 응용 연구소와 함께 이 양자 시스템 설계 프로젝트를 수주했죠. 그게 한 4천만 달러 정도. 그리고 요거는 뭔지 살펴봐야 될 것 같은데, AWS와의 시스템 접근 계약도 연장했다. 자, 현금성 자산이 지금 4억 200만 달러인데 지난 분기에 434.4죠. 그러면 32.4 밀리언 정도 썼네요. 그래서 지금 현금 소진 속도가 26, 30, 조금씩 빨라지고 있긴 한데, 뭐 아직도 4억 불 넘게 있기 때문에 크게 걱정되는 수준은 아닙니다. 지금 한 분기에 3,200만 달러 썼는데 4억 불이 있으니까 뭐 10분기 이상 버틸 수 있죠. 한 2, 3년 정도는 아직은 무난할 것 같다. 그때까지 수익성 흑자 전환에 도달하는 게 중요하겠죠. 그래서 순손실이 3,700만 달러. 지난 분기보다 조금 줄었어요. 순 에비타 손실이 2,300, 2,700에서 적자 폭도 소폭 줄었고요. 또 새로운 내용이 있나 한번 보겠습니다. 그래서 템포 시스템의 새로운 오류 수정, 부분 오류 수정 기술, 그 이름이 클리포드 오류 감소 기술인데 이게 들어갈 예정이고, 3개의 물리적 큐비트로 하나의 이 고품질 큐비트를 만든다고 합니다. 오류 수정 로드맵도 잘 달성하고 있는 것 같고, 내년 말까지 2개의 큐비트 정확도를 99.9에서 99.999까지 올리겠다. 그래서 큐비트 숫자는 100개까지 넣겠다. 그리고 여기에 어제 나왔던 ARLIS와 함께 하는 계약이 이 의회에 의해서 4천만 달러 지원이니까 한 이게 550억 정도 됩니다. 그래서 요걸 수주하면서 경쟁 입찰에서 승리했죠. 지난 12월에. 그래서 잘하고 있다는 게 확인이 됐고, 1단계에서 570만 달러를 받았다. 그래서 여기 좀 더 얘기가 나왔네요. 다음 단계에서 2대의 양자 컴퓨터를 구축할 계획이다. AWS를 통해 아리아를 쓸 수 있는데 IonQ 포르테도 사용할 수 있고, 7월 달에 스위스에 지금 포르테 엔터프라이즈 최종 조립을 시작했고 설정이 시작이 됐다. 거의 다 완료가 된 것 같고, 시애틀에서는 2개의 추가 양자 컴퓨터를 만들고 있다. 그리고 딘 카스맨, 이 사람이 원래 엔지니어링 상무였는데 엔지니어링 기술 전무로 승진이 됐죠. 그래서 올해 재무 전망을 보면은 연매출 기대치가 3,800에서 4,200만으로 조금 상향이 됐고, 3분기 매출은 900에서 1200만 달러. 이번 분기랑 비슷하게 나올 걸로 보나 보네요. 그리고 수주 부킹스는 지난 분기 줬던 7,500만에서 9,500만을 유지한다. 그래서 뭐 전체적으로 나쁘지 않게 나온 것 같습니다. 근데 일단 매출이 예상치를 훨씬 상회했네요. 그래서 아마 주가에 나쁜 영향은 없을 것 같네요. 지금 한 6% 정도면 선방했다고 봅니다. 자, 그러면 저희 조금 쉬었다가 5시 반에 다시 시작하도록 하겠습니다.
Greetings, and welcome to IonQ's second quarter 2024 earnings call. At this time, all participants are in listen-only mode. A question and answer session will follow the formal presentation. If anyone should require operator assistance during the conference, please press star then 0 on your telephone keypad. As a reminder, this conference is being recorded. I would now like to turn the conference over to your host, Jordan Shapiro. Please go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to IonQ's second quarter 2024 earnings call. My name is Jordan Shapiro, and I'm the Vice President of Financial Planning and Analysis and Head of Investor Relations here at IonQ. I'm pleased to be joined on today's call by Peter Chapman, IonQ's President and Chief Executive Officer, Thomas Kramer, our Chief Financial Officer, and Dr. Dean Kassmann, our Senior Vice President of Engineering and Technology. By now, everyone should have access to the company's second quarter 2024 earnings press release issued this afternoon, which is available on the Investor Relations section of our website at investors.ionq.com. Please note that on today's call, management will refer to adjusted EBITDA, which is a non-GAAP financial measure. While the company believes this non-GAAP financial measure provides useful information for investors, the presentation of this information is not intended to be considered in isolation or as a substitute for the financial information presented in accordance with GAAP. You are directed to our press release for reconciliation of adjusted EBITDA to its closest comparable GAAP measure. During the call, we will discuss our business outlook and make forward-looking statements. These comments are based on our beliefs as of today. Actual events or results could differ materially from the outlook and other forward-looking statements due to a number of risks and uncertainties, including those mentioned in our 10-Q filing with the SEC this week. We undertake no obligation to revise any statements to reflect changes that occur after this call, except as required by law. Now, I will turn it over to Peter Chapman, President and CEO of IonQ. Peter?
Thanks, Jordan, and thank you to everyone joining today's call. There are a lot of exciting announcements to share today. We will discuss our recent technical breakthroughs that we believe bring the quantum era closer than it has ever been, and our compelling commercial momentum that demonstrates how we're working with customers. Let's dive straight in. First, I am excited to say that we have once again exceeded the high end of our revenue range for the quarter, delivering $11.4 million in recognized revenue, which was well above the range of $7.6 to $9.2 million for the quarter. We also booked $9 million this quarter and are very confident about meeting our bookings goal for the year. Thomas will discuss our financials in more depth. You have likely heard there is a space race in quantum computing. But what does that really mean? It's a race between different companies, qubit modalities, and countries to produce a quantum computer that can outperform classical computing. The technical problem that bedevils the industry is noise or fidelity in its qubits. This noise can come from the qubits themselves, the environment, or any hardware like the control electronics that interact with the qubits. Key to the accuracy of a quantum computer is to increase the fidelity of its qubits and their ability to run more computational gates and larger applications. When any company can achieve enough fidelity and run applications in a production environment, significant application revenue can start. With this context, I'm excited to announce that IonQ has achieved a 2-qubit native gate fidelity of 99.9%, or 3 nines, in barium. We chose to move to barium because science suggests it enables higher fidelities than ytterbium. And the better the native gate fidelity, the less error correction in all forms is required. So today's announcement is an important milestone towards even better gate fidelities ahead. To get to better gate fidelity beyond native gate fidelity, other techniques are required. In the past, you've heard us describe quantum error correction, the technique of using additional qubits grouped together to correct each other and produce more reliable results. Error correction is promising, but particularly on non-trapped ion platforms, requires a large volume of qubits. Think tens, hundreds, or even thousands of physical qubits per error-corrected qubit. It also requires many extra gates as overhead, the ratio of which is correlated with the native fidelity of the qubits. So error correction is out of reach for meaningful use in the quantum industry today. Another technique you've heard about from us is error mitigation, which uses software techniques to improve results without generally requiring additional qubits. Error mitigation is commonly used by the quantum computing companies, but poses difficulties for scaling given that it often incurs ever-increasing sampling costs that can lengthen the time to solution. Today, I am thrilled to announce IonQ has invented a new, industry-first, partial error correction technique for an important class of quantum gates used with many different applications. The technique, which reduces the errors for Clifford gates within circuits, offers the potential to supercharge the accuracy of near-term quantum computers, bringing us much closer to commercial advantage. This Clifford error reduction technique allows for more accurate quantum algorithms, but requires a ratio of only about 3 physical qubits per 1 error-reduced qubit, and a modest doubling of gates in the algorithms used. We plan to offer this feature in our IonQ Tempo systems. With a combination of hardware and software improvements, we believe that we can extend our achievement of 3 nines to production systems in 2025 and bring that to 5 nines in 2025 and 6 nines in 2026 using error correction. This, along with a combination of much larger numbers of physical qubits and improved gate speeds, gives us more confidence about near-term quantum applications and application revenue for IonQ. For some time now, we have been investigating applications where we can deliver significant value and generate significant revenue. At our next earnings call, we will discuss the first of these application areas. While this has been a tremendous quarter for IonQ's technical development, it has been equally exciting on the commercial side of the business. First, I am delighted to announce that ARLIS, the Applied Research Laboratory for Intelligence and Security, selected IonQ through a competitive bidding process to design 2 quantum networking node systems for blind quantum computing. Blind quantum computing is a process where quantum computers remain blind to what information is being processed through them, and is a key achievement target for the U.S. national security apparatus. In fiscal 2023 and 2024, Congress funded this research for a total of $40 million. The initial phase of the contract is a $5.7 million award for the design of the quantum computers based on IonQ trapped ion processors. We expect to complete this work by the end of this year. In the next phase of the project, ARLIS plans to have 2 systems built based on the initial IonQ design. We feel confident on our bookings guidance for the year, and we're working on several large additional sales for hardware and otherwise, in addition to the ARLIS agreement. What makes us confident is the strength of our repeat customers and our sales team's focus in closing large multi-year deals. Next, we have started final assembly of our first Forte enterprise system at Quantum Basel, and we now have officially begun construction of 2 more Forte enterprise systems in our Seattle, Washington manufacturing facility. Our investment in our manufacturing is already paying off, now enabling us to build multiple production systems at a time while not tying up significant engineering resources. I am also pleased to announce that we've extended our contract with AWS to continue to offer our world-class quantum computers via Amazon Braket, the quantum computing service of AWS, to developers everywhere who want to leverage the power of quantum computing. Alongside the AWS contract extension, we have launched an exciting new cloud feature set that includes 24/7 global operations, a new and improved queuing engine, and exclusive reservation windows. These features make it easier than ever for our customers to benefit from IonQ's cutting-edge quantum computers. In summary, this quarter has been another strong success for IonQ. We have proven that our barium qubit technology can achieve 3 nines of fidelity. We have developed an industry-changing partial error correction technique for error reduction that could bring production applications for quantum even sooner. We have factored those advancements into an aggressive new roadmap for our continued leadership in the industry. And we are working with customers like Arlis and AWS to build the next generation of quantum networking and quantum computing applications. And with that, I'd like to pass the call over to Thomas.
Thank you, Peter. It has truly been an exciting quarter on the technical and commercial front, and our financials are no exception. Let's walk through this quarter financial results in more detail. As Peter mentioned, we had a strong revenue quarter, recognizing $11.4 million, which is above the high end of the range we previously provided. This overperformance was primarily due to our ability to make more progress than previously anticipated on some of our contracts that use percentage of completion revenue recognition. We also booked $9 million of sales contracts in the second quarter. As we have mentioned in prior earnings calls, we anticipate lumpiness in our bookings since it is difficult to predict quarter to quarter, or even in some cases year to year, exactly when a particular sale will materialize. We remain confident in our bookings target for the year. Moving down the income statement, for Q2 2024, our total operating costs and expenses for the second quarter were $60.3 million, up 56% from $38.6 million in the prior year period, but within our plan for the year. To break this down further, our research and development costs for the second quarter were $31.2 million, up 57% from $19.9 million in the prior year period. Recall that we are investing heavily in R&D and given anticipated demand of building more systems than previously projected this year. Our sales and marketing costs in the second quarter were $6.1 million, up 72% from $3.6 million in the prior year period. This increase was due to us growing both our marketing and our sales teams as we continue investing into our commercial efforts. Our general and administrative costs in the second quarter were $13.1 million, up 19% from $10.9 million in the prior year period. These increases were primarily driven by an increase of $1.9 million in payroll-related expenses. All of this resulted in a net loss of $37.6 million in the second quarter, compared to $43.7 million in the prior year period. Accounting for warrants is confusing to many. This is why we have always pointed out the impact they have on our results. These current 2024 Q2 results include a non-cash gain of $6.6 million for the second quarter, related to the fair value of our warrant liabilities. These results also include growth in stock-based compensation expense related to our headcount growth, which was $21 million for the second quarter, compared to $11.3 million in the prior year period. We saw an adjusted EBITDA loss for the second quarter of $23.7 million, compared to a $19.4 million loss in the prior year period. We continue to project an adjusted EBITDA loss for the year of $110.5 million. Turning now to our balance sheet. Cash, cash equivalents, and investments as of June 30th, 2024 were $402 million. We continue to believe this cash position is the strongest of any publicly traded company focused exclusively on full-stack quantum computing. Importantly, while we have increased IonQ's run rate in recent years, we are offsetting this by beginning to collect on large payments from IonQ's customers, including those who have purchased full systems. Our run rate increases are largely related to employee costs, as we have worked rapidly to bring the best quantum talent in the world to IonQ. It is also worth mentioning that a significant portion of our investment in setting up manufacturing is now behind us. We increasingly look to focus on conservative spending and ramping up sales of large deals. Now turning to our financial outlook. we are pleased to announce that we will be raising our revenue guidance for the full year 2024 to a range of $38 million and $42 million, reflecting increased confidence in our progress on our percentage of completion contracts. We currently expect revenue for the third quarter of between $9 and $12 million. We remain confident in our 2024 bookings guidance of between $75 and $95 million. Back to you, Peter.
Thank you, Thomas. In closing, IonQ has yet again pushed the boundaries of the quantum computing industry this quarter, bringing us even closer to the quantum era. Our technical team demonstrated our highest qubit fidelities yet, introduced a paradigm-shifting technique for error reduction, and unveiled an aggressive new roadmap to continue our technical leadership. Commercially, our exciting new work with customers like Arliss and AWS gives us increased confidence not just in meeting our bookings targets for the year, but also in the long-term potential of our quantum computing and quantum networking products. Financially, we greatly exceeded the high end of our revenue range for the quarter and posted a solid $9 million in bookings that we believe will propel us towards our goals for the year. To build on our strong position in the quantum market, we will pursue strategic partnerships and other opportunities, strengthening our ecosystem and benefiting our customers, shareholders, and other stakeholders. We look forward to a great Q3 and the rest of the year ahead with our team, our customers, our partners, and our investors. With that, I would like to turn it over to the operator for our question and answer session.
Thank you, sir. At this time, we will be conducting a question and answer session. If you would like to ask a question, please press star then one on your telephone keypad. A confirmation tone will indicate your line is in the question queue. You may press star and then two if you would like to remove your question from the queue. For participants using speaker equipment, it may be necessary to pick up your handset before pressing the star keys. Again, if you would like to ask a question, please press star and then one now. The first question we have comes from David Williams of the Benchmark Company. Please go ahead.
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for letting me ask a question, and congrats on the really strong progress here. Maybe Peter, maybe first. Maybe first, can you give maybe just a little more color on the partial error mitigation scheme that you'd mentioned earlier? How does that maybe change your roadmap? And is this an innovation that you had seen and have been working towards, or is this something that maybe has developed as you've worked towards other error mitigation? Just trying to understand the innovation here and how we should think about this type of development going forward.
Tell you what, we'll tag team this one. I have Dean here with me as well. So Dean, I'll let you talk about the technology. Maybe I'll take the business.
Yeah, so right now, this is something that we've been working on for a while, right? We've been building up our error correction team and the experts that we have through kind of just continued hiring and trying to build out that part of our research and kind of development team. From a technical perspective, this is a technique that has been talked about before in terms of high-level approaches where you're not trying to achieve full fault tolerance, but instead you're trying to target those parts of the system and those gates that are causing the most problems. This technique targets what are called Clifford gates, which are comprised of many different applications or make up many different circuits that are used to solve different applications. And so the Clifford gates are one of the noisiest gates in many quantum computers. And so this technique allows us to reduce the most noisy part of those circuits so that you can end up with basically better results at the end of the day. And so it's going to factor into the way we think about approaching applications, the kind of applications that are accessible. So what this, at the end of the day, does is make a larger set of applications reachable earlier than we would have earlier thought.
And I'll just add a little bit to it, which is this plus many of the other things that we have going, really starting to give us confidence in kind of the time frame for meaningful applications and actual revenue, significant revenue generation. Frankly speaking, I think up to this point, it's been early for significant investments in applications. Some companies started application development 10 years ago, even though there wasn't quantum computers yet. So this is kind of, I think, a significant milestone for us in terms of getting to confidence that now is the time for application development. And we'll talk about the first kind of large application at the next earnings call.
Great. Thanks so much for the good color there. And I guess maybe secondly on the ARLIS contract, I noticed in the press release it seemed like there were a few different figures there, and just hoping you could help me understand exactly what those meant. I saw 5.7 and then 12 and even a 40. So just help me understand what each one of those figures represent, please.
Yep. No, I'm happy to give you the color on that. First, even before diving into this, I think one of the most important things is we've opened up another branch of the government to be an IonQ customer. And, we, like our existing customers, we hope that this is not a one and done, but a multi-year relationship that continues into the future. So, we're excited to have ARLIS and the intelligence community as a customer, and we look forward to many years working with them. As to this particular contract, in fiscal 23 and 24, Congress so far has funded this project for $40 million. And so we have won the first phase of the contract. It's a multi-phase contract for $5.7 million. The remaining $40 million is expected to largely go to the construction of the hardware. And we expect by the end of this year to win the next phase of this of an additional $12 million. So in fiscal 24, we expect the ARLIS contract to contribute roughly $17.5 million towards our bookings goal for the year. And the remaining of it will show up in 25.
Okay, perfect, great. Thanks for the help there. And then maybe just lastly, you've made some really tremendous progress here over the last several quarters and lots of moving pieces here. But I guess if you were going to kind of boil down your progress and where you are today relative to where you were maybe 12 months ago, how do you think about that progress, and where are we on the pathway to real quantum from where you sit today? Maybe not just for IonQ, but just broadly, how do you think about it? Thank you.
Well, I think in lots of companies, not just IonQ, there's been lots of interesting progress, across lots of different modalities. We do continue to believe we look at many of the other companies and modalities and technologies. We think that many of them still have a number of, technical things to overcome before kind of getting to a place of great success. We do think, as we always look, that we think that IonQ is in good position for that. And we're going to be getting to a new phase of the business, which is generating revenue from applications rather than generating hardware sales. And that's kind of the next exciting phase that we're about to start to invest in and hopefully see a return on. So it's just I think it's that part where everyone's been waiting, to be honest, which is when do we start to transition from kind of these early sales to something which is much more significant. And I think on the other side too, if you look at what we said we were going to do in terms of both technical and financial from the IPO, we're hitting out of the park once again. We continue to beat even our original estimates. So we're starting to build quite a significant track record. We're on our ways to breaking through, I think, a mental barrier, which would be the $100 million mark in sales. Had we not gone public via SPAC, we would be thinking about going public with those kinds of sales just as, through a more normal IPO process. So I think that's a significant milestone for the company as well.
Thanks very much for the insight. Certainly appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you. The next question we have comes from Quinn Bolton of Needham & Co. Please go ahead.
Hey guys, let me add my congratulations on the financial and technical milestones, especially hitting that 99.9% to qubit gate fidelity. Wanted to start just maybe you talked about the updated roadmap. I think you published that back in late June. Kind of what are the key milestones now on the updated technology roadmap? Are you still targeting tempo for delivery in 25? Is that still expected to be based on barium qubits? Just what are the highlights of the updated technical roadmap?
Yeah, Dean, you want to take?
So right now, our technical roadmap remains the same. We're still targeting AQ64 in tempo. It's still planning. We're looking at barium as the qubit species. So all of those pieces are there, right? So what we're starting to unveil is a little bit more detail about some of the component benchmarks and other things that are going to kind of enable those AQ benchmarks and numbers that we've talked about in terms of our native 2-qubit gate fidelities, our qubit counts, et cetera. But right now, our roadmap remains strong and our progress remains strong.
And you've seen, not only in this particular announcement today, we have gotten to 99.9 in barium, right? So that's significant. The other thing is you've seen, I believe, some images of 64 ions loaded in a system as well. So these are all small milestones or, along the way to getting to tempo. And so we're just kind of showing the progress along the way. Yeah, but the answer is yes, we're on track for delivering in 25, the first manufactured systems for tempo.
Perfect. And then on the error correction announcement from this week, I guess, can you give us some sense, what percent of gates in a typical circuit, and there's probably no typical circuit, but, how frequently used are Clifford gates? Are those 10% of the gates, 50% of the gates? And can you take the techniques to improve, or to perform error correction on Clifford gates? Can you use similar techniques on other commonly used gates in quantum circuits?
Great question. And so the Clifford gates are a class of gates that we use here. A lot of other companies use as well. And so they're highly applicable to many different applications. A lot of the variational circuits, chemistry circuits are comprised of large subblocks of Clifford gates. And so these kind of, noise reduction techniques allow us to be able to target really the key pieces of those circuits to be able to reduce the overall noise and improve the overall results. And so the beauty of this is as a stepping stone. There's another class of gates that we will have to address noise on, and those are called T gates. But our overall philosophy is that any noise reduction helps before the industry reaches full fault tolerance, which is still, we believe, years away, right? There's a lot of other building blocks besides just the error correcting code required for full fault tolerance. And so as we move forward, these are the kind of innovations that accelerate both in hardware and software the capabilities to be able to kind of, as Peter said, supercharge the systems to be able to deliver value sooner.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question we have comes from Kevin Garrigan of West Park Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi all. Let me echo my congrats on all the progress and congrats on the results. To start, I'm just kind of wondering if you can give a little more color on the ARLIS contract. How many were in the bidding process? Were they all different quantum computing architectures? Anything else you can kind of provide there?
I'm not sure we know exactly. I mean, strangely, they didn't send us the responses to the RFP. So, but it is my belief system that there was a number of other companies in different modalities that competed for it. So, but I don't, to be honest, I don't know what the companies exactly were, and obviously know nothing about of what it is they proposed. So, but it was an open bid, and we won against everyone else.
Okay, got it. And then Peter, you had mentioned Arliss opens up another government avenue. I'm just kind of wondering if you can give us some color on the commercial and enterprise side of things. Have you started to see an increase in commercial and enterprise customers looking to adopt quantum computing?
Yeah, very, very much so. This is, I guess there's a couple of different things. We see two different kind of things customers are interested in. One is quantum networking, and one is quantum computing or application development. It's a little confusing because both of them require quantum computers. One is with the purpose of doing networking and communication, and the other one's doing, it has an interest in applications. But both require, quote, systems. So that part of it can be confusing. When, for instance, we were talking about Forte enterprise sales, those are largely customers interested in compute, not networking. So the Arliss is a case where we're building systems, but now for their primary interest is networking. And so we also see increased interest in the applications and the compute space as well. And as I mentioned, we'll talk about the first of those coming up at the next earnings call.
Okay, perfect. I appreciate the color. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next question we have comes from Joe Moore of Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
Great, thank you. Yeah, along the same lines, I mean, you've gotten so many federal opportunities between the Air Force, the Navy, now Arliss. Can you kind of talk about if there's a common thread why you keep winning those opportunities? And, you said it's a competitive bidding process. What are the criteria you think that's getting you selected ahead of other quantum opportunities?
Ooh, boy, that's a complex question. I do think that there's a number of things. We have I think a good product, and the fact that the error rates are the best in the industry. Kind of in general, ion trapping is the early winner here, so that certainly helps compared to some of the other modalities out there. But then even within the ion traps, I think we're winning largely because we've got a good sales force and a good sales plan, and so we're, from what I can see from all the published data, is that I can see is IonQ is winning on the sales front, and so it's got to be a mixture of Rima and her sales team and the products that we have. So I think customers in the know are liking what we're doing.
I can speak a little bit. The success criteria that the Arliss customer was looking for in the competitive process involved technical capability in terms of the system. That included the ability to optically connect systems across a distance. Our investment in our photonic networking and capabilities and the experimental results and things that we've achieved to date were a feather in our cap. They were also looking for a proven track record in delivering and providing systems to customers. We have that track record. So when we were scored at the end of the day, the customer basically scored us high in many of the technical and kind of programmatic requirements that they were looking for in terms of what they were shooting for. And so it goes to speak to the track record that we've been building and investing in, both on the technology side as well as on the company side.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder, if you would like to ask a question, please press star and then 1 now. At this stage, there seems to be no further questions. I will now turn the conference call back to Peter Chapman for closing remarks. Please go ahead.
I want to thank everyone for joining us today and for your support and for all the great questions. Finally, I want to thank the entire IonQ team for their continued diligent work that contributed to such a meaningful quarter for us, both technically and commercially, and that continues to fuel everything that we look forward to in the future. So thanks again, everyone, for joining, and we look forward to talking to you at the next earnings call.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, that then concludes today's conference. Thank you for joining us. You may now disconnect your lines.
자, 이제 마무리가 됐는데요. 네, 맞습니다. 잘 포인트 해주셨는데, 일단 지금 포르테 엔터프라이즈 기존에 판매되는 거 외에 4대를 더 구축을 하고 있는데, 뭐 그 부분에 대해서 판매 계약이 논의되고 있다고 했는데, 그거는 아직 확정이 나온 게 없는 것 같고요. 우리가 추가적으로 얻을 수 있었던 힌트는 보겠습니다. 일단은 AR/LIS와 얻게 된 그 프로젝트가 일단 모든 단계를 IonQ가 다 이긴 건 아닌 것 같아요. 저는 그렇다고 생각을 하고 있었는데 1단계 이제 설계가 570만 달러인데 이게 올해 안에 완료가 되고 2단계에서 2개 시스템을 구축할 건데 아까 얘기를 들어보니까 올해 말까지 그걸 완전히 확고하게 가져온 건 아닌 것 같아요. 올해 말까지 뭐 다시 승리하겠다 뭐 이런 얘기를 하는 거 보니까 전체 4천만 달러가 다 배정된 건 아닌 것 같습니다. 그래서 아직 조금 더 지켜봐야 될 것 같고요. 그래서 이번에 새로 개발된 부분 오류 수정 기술이 이제 양자 컴퓨터에서 흔히 사용되는 클리포드 게이트라는 부분을 오류 수정하는 건데 가장 오류가 많은 부분이라 효과가 클 거다. 아직까지 완전한 오류 내성을 갖추는 건 아니라는 거죠. 근데 이제 여러 어플리케이션에서 쓰는 게이트이기 때문에 이걸 가져왔을 때 진짜 쓸만한 돈이 되는 사용 사례를 뽑을 수 있다라고 했는데 중요한 거는 피라저스맨 CEO가 그 실용적인 어플리케이션을 다음 분기에 얘기하겠다라고 했어요. 그래서 지금 뭔가 진행이 되고 있는 것 같습니다. 그런 힌트를 잘 안 주는데 오늘 한 3번, 4번 반복했죠. 다음 어닝콜에서 우리가 실용적인 어플리케이션에 대해 얘기하겠다라고 했는데 제가 추측하기로는 얼마 전에 웨비나에서 이 화학 분야에서 이 해군과 함께 배를 부식시키는 소금물에 대해서 연구하고 있다라고 했는데 아마 그 부분에서 뭔가 해군 연구소랑 큰 매출을 내지 않을까. 다음 분기를 또 기대하게 하는 말들을 지속적으로 했죠. 그 피레체프맨 CEO가 그런 얘기를 잘 하는 사람은 아닙니다. 저도 실제로 만나봤지만 되게 진중하고 말을 아끼는 사람인데 그래서 이제 어플리케이션 개발을 위한 시간이라는 확신을 갖게 됐다. 근데 아직까지 경쟁사들은 하드웨어 개선하는 데 목표를 하고 있는데 아이온큐는 하드웨어도 하면서 이제 어느 정도 궤도에 올라서 실용적인 가치를 내는 단계로 올라가고 있다. 그래서 AR/LIS 계약은 일단은 2년간 의회가 4천만 달러를 배정을 했는데 1단계는 아이온큐가 이겨서 570만 달러를 땄고 나머지가 하드웨어 구축에 들어간다. 근데 올해 말까지 2단계를 이길 것으로 예상하고 있다. 그러니까 아직 100%는 아닌가 봐요. 일단 1단계는 이겼는데 2단계는 올해 말까지 봐야 된다. 그래서 올해 안에 AR/LIS 근데 또 부킹스에는 들어간다고 하니까 이게 조금 애매하네요. 이길 것 같은데 뭐 100%는 아니다 이렇게 얘기하는 것 같습니다. 그래서 나머지 단계가 한 2~3단계 더 있는 것 같은데 요거는 내년에 알 수 있다. 그래서 아이온큐는 이제 새로운 단계에 진입하고 있다라고 했고 여전히 템포는 내년 출시 예정을 하고 있다라고 합니다. 또 쓸만한 게 네, 그리고 포토닉 인터커넥트 관련돼서도 힌트를 줬죠. 그래서 모건 스탠리에서 왜 너네가 자꾸 정부 계약을 따고 있냐, 뭐를 앞서고 있냐라고 했더니 이제 정부 기관들이 보는 거는 이 시스템들을 광학적으로 원격으로 먼 거리에 있는데 연결할 수 있는가. 그게 이제 양자 네트워킹이죠. 그걸 이제 아이온큐는 포토닉 인터커넥이라는 이름의 기술로 개발을 하고 있는데 이 부분을 정부가 좋게 봤다. 제가 봤던 게 맞는 것 같습니다. 아이온큐에 이 앞으로 큐비트를 획기적으로 늘릴 수 있는 기술이 정부한테 검증을 받았다는 거죠. 그래서 저는 이제 아이온큐에 대해서는 기술력에 대해서는 의심을 하지 않아도 될 것 같다라고 생각을 하는데 좀 더 지켜봐야겠죠. 그래서 포토닉 인터커넥트 잘 하고 있다는 힌트를 우회적으로 줬고 시스템을 실제로 고객들에게 만들어서 배치한 이력이 있는가를 봤는데 그걸 가진 기업이 별로 없죠. 아이온큐가 제일 앞서고 있습니다. 그래서 여러 기업들이 참여를 했고 정확하게는 모르지만 초전도체나 광자 쪽도 참여한 것 같은데 아이온큐가 1등을 했다. 그래서 기존의 기술이나 제조 쪽에 투자해온 것이 빛을 발했다라고 생각한다. 네, 근데 뭐 1단계를 이미 이겼기 때문에 2단계는 거의 확실한 것 같은데 100%는 아닌가 봐요. 그래서 설계 단계는 일단 이겼는데 여기서 뭐 제가 이해하기로는 이상한 짓만 안 하면 설계를 했으니까 구축까지 이어진다. 이런 개념으로 이해를 했습니다. 자, 어쨌거나 오늘 새벽부터 오셔서 한 800분 정도 계시는데 고생 많이 하셨고요. 지금 애프터장에서 보니까 주가가 한 4, 5% 정도? 뭐, 네, 좀 아쉽긴 하지만 내일 본장이 열리면 또 어떻게 될지 모르죠. 저는 이제 많이 오를 것 같다고 생각을 하는데 또 길게 보고 투자하는 거니까 굳이 내일 매도는 안 할 거니까 좀 더 지켜봐야 될 것 같습니다. 자, 모두 수고 많으셨고요. 저는 이제 요거 정리해서 녹화본 만들어서 유튜브로 업로드 해드리겠습니다. 모두 오늘 출근 잘 하시고 또 좋은 결과 냈으니까 또 지속적으로 지켜보면서 회사와 같이 성장하는 네, 현명한 장기 투자자들 되시면 좋겠습니다. 오늘 함께 해주셔서 감사하고요. 오늘도 좋은 하루 되시기 바랍니다. 감사합니다.